Was COVID a giant Milgram experiment? And if so, how did we do?
COVID seemed to me from the beginning a giant Milgram experiment. One of the interesting experiments that came out of MK Ultra is called the Milgram Experiment. And the Milgram Experiment, there was a Yale associate professor named Stanley Milgram, and he recruited about 70 people from every walk of life in New Haven: business people, students, working people, blacks, whites, etc. And he would bring them in to take part in this experiment, and he would put them at a table like this, and on the table there was a dial, and they were told that the dial was connected to a man who was sitting in the next room who was tied to a chair, and that when they twisted that dial, it would administer an electric shock, and that they were doing an experiment on him, right? They didn't tell they were doing the experiment on you.
Right.
And they were told by a guy who was a doctor, so a doctor was really Dr. Milgram, who was in a white lab suit, and he had, kind of badges on him that made him look like an authority figure. And he would tell them, okay, turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. When they turned it up, they could hear the guy struggling and screaming and sometimes pleading and crying. And a lot of the subjects were saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Can I stop? And the doctor would say, no, you can't. And he'd say, turn it up. And I think 67% of it, you shouldn't go to Wikipedia for anything controversial, but you can look this up in Wikipedia. Yeah. I think, and it's called the Milgram Experiment. 67% turned it up to where it said potentially lethal.
Yeah.
And which is like 250 volts or something.
Yeah.
And what Milgram said is that the voice of an authority figure has the capacity to overwhelm all of your most deeply held beliefs and ethical precepts for the normal person.
Yeah.
That they will, if somebody who they believe in as authority tells them to do something that they know is wrong, they're going to do it. The good news is...
Well, they think they're off the hook. It's like, it's like a Hannah Arendt's thing, the banality of evil. If they think, well, I'm only following orders, so I'm not going to be held responsible for my own actions.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. And but the good news is that 33% of them got up and walked out.
That is good.
And that is roughly that, what we saw during COVID, because COVID seemed to me from the beginning a giant Milgram experiment where we had a doctor and, all these doctors who were assembled at the top of the society, and they were telling people to do things that we all knew were wrong, to censor the press, to do what you're told, trust the experts. Okay. That was never a thing. That trusting the experts is not a feature of democracy. It's not a feature of science. It's a feature of totalitarianism, and it's a feature of religion.
Right.
But it's not science to trust the experts.
Huge hat tip to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and to Roseanne Barr for airing that clip. Links are in the description below. Here's a short clip reminding you what the Milgram experiments in the 1960s were.
A decade earlier, psychologist Stanley Milgram had also looked at how we respond to authority. In order to understand how people were induced to obey unjust regimes and participate in atrocities such as the Holocaust, he set up an experiment. Volunteers were told they were taking part in scientific research to improve memory.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher. Learn. Teacher.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer was incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
Cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer. Wrong. 150 volts. Answer, horse.
Experiment. That's all. Get me out of here. Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
Refuses to go on.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants didn't know that the learner was really an actor and the so-called shocks harmless.
You're gonna get a shock. 180 volts.
I can't stand the pain. Let me out of
You
here.
can't stand it. I'm not gonna kill that man, there. I mean, who's gonna take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
All right, next one. Slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
Two-thirds of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering for less voltage. Can't you check in and see if he's all right, please?
Milgram's findings horrified America. They showed that decent American citizens were as capable of committing acts against their conscience as the Germans had been under the Nazis.
So, was COVID-19 a giant Milgram experiment? It sure as heck looks like it. People were given instructions from authority figures, and they lined up like sheeple to stay home from work, stand on dots, wear those crazy, disgusting face diapers, and get an endless array of experimental vaccines. Some people are still driving alone in their cars with masks on. Yeah, we all see you. And even worse, far too many people are still signing up for more jabs. Attention, folks, the Milgram experiment is still ongoing. You're still in it, but it's never too late. All you have to do is wake up. This experiment is ongoing because people are still participating in it, and they get to say, we didn't force anyone. Everyone volunteered for it. The experiment only stops when everybody stands up and says enough is enough. Not just us, it also has to be you. As long as you're still in it, the experiment keeps going. We need you to wake up and say enough is enough. Please, wake up. We know you feel stupid. Nobody likes to be conned and nobody likes to be duped. We know you feel utterly humiliated. We get that, especially if you sadly force this crap on loved ones, your friends, your family. Oh God, and what's horrifying is many of you forced it on your kids. And my heart utterly breaks for those of you that took this crap, gave it to your family, had loved ones who died, got sick. Some of you got permanently injured. It's horrifying. We all get it. We've all seen it. We've all been watching it. We said no to the experiment. We now need you to do the same thing. You need to stand up and say enough is enough. Again, no one likes to be conned. No one likes to be duped. No one likes to be taken in. We all get it. But now it's time to move on. Unity is our strength. The people involved, the people at the top of the experiment, still need to be held accountable, and we can't do that until you turn the experiment off. They're never going to turn it off. We need you to stand up, say enough is enough, and join us. Please, take off the masks, refuse the jabs, stand with the rest of us. We're thrilled to have you back. Well, that's it for today. Join the channel, give us a follow. It really helps the algorithm. Leave us a comment below and share. Remember, everyone wakes up at their own pace and you are not alone. It's our job to help and educate as many people as possible. God bless America, God bless this podcast, and God bless you. Stay frosty, my friends. You're still in it.